Phillipsburg Town Council meeting, September 11th, 2024.
Welcome to the Town of Phillipsburg Council meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Council Vice President, will you please read the Open Public Meeting Act statement?
This meeting is called pursuant to provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of September 11th, 2024 was included in the list of meeting notices sent to newspapers of record and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and has remained continuously posted as required notices under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do the invocation, I'd like to have a moment of silence for 911. For those of us who can remember what we were doing in 2001, for some of them it was really, never thought you would see that. And to some of those Phillipsburg people that saw one of those planes fly over here, it was the saddest day in my life in America. So we'd like to have a moment of silence, please. Councilman Skirbo, invocation, please.
Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Susan, roll call, please.
Councilman Ford?
Here.
Councilman Kennedy?
Here.
Councilman Skirbo?
Here.
Council Vice President Paulus? Here. Council President Marino?
Here. At this time, for the first reading ordinance 2024-25, I'm going to pull that from the agenda because we'd like to have further review on that. So, council, please notice that and to the public. Okay, at this time, the bills list, please.
The regular bills list as of September 11, 2024 is $3,151,945.21. The prepaid bill list is $226,597.55 for a grand total of $3,378,542.76.
Any discussion on council? Need a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. The minutes of August 28, 2024, the public session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Abstain.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Okay, public discussion on agenda items only. You'll get 3 minutes. Just state your name and if you're a resident of the town or not.
Is there an order?
Bart?
Is there an order or is there
No, you can come. Just give us your name
My name is Kiana.
As long
Over
as
there,
it-
please.
As long as it's on the agenda.
on the
Oh.
agenda.
If it's just a general comment,
That's
it's
at the end?
later.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have to wait. Sorry.
That's okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none for the record, ordinances. These are the second reading. Okay, we'll read them, and then the public can question, comment. Ordinance, second reading, 2024-14. An ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, New Jersey, adopting District 5, Riverside Industrial Amendment, Riverfront Redevelopment Plan. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, now it's open to the public. They want to come up and speak on this, come up, state your name, and just let us know if you're a resident or not of the town. 3 minutes.
Sandra Lawrence, resident of the town. Please do not vote to make the Howard Street property zoned industrial. Many of the folks that live on Mercer Street are my friends. Our friends on Mercer Street and in the flats believe this ordinance is essentially an assault on their quality of life and jeopardizes their health and well-being. What would you do if it was your friends under assault? I would hope that you would do what is right and stand up to defend them. If you pass Warehouse Ordinance 2024-14, we, Phillipsburg Environmental Watch and Associated Friends of Phillipsburg, shall do what we can and challenge this ordinance. We are proud to stand up against this proposed warehouse and defend the quality of life and well-being of our fellow Phillipsburg neighbours in the areas of the flats and surrounding neighbourhoods. In addition, I just want to mention something. Mr. Perucci makes a point of his growing up in Phillipsburg, but where does he choose to live now? Not in Phillipsburg, not even in New Jersey. He lives in Pennsylvania. He boasted about the huge apartment complex he is building as an example of his commitment to property improvement. Where? In Easton, not in Phillipsburg. He conveniently failed to mention he is receiving a $3 million redevelopment assistance capital program grant to help him with this project. Easton gets beautiful apartments along their riverfront property, while we get a warehouse. I'd say that's a pretty good example of how much he really cares about this town. I'm hoping that you, representatives of the town residents, will consider their well-being in your vote. Thank you.
Anyone else? You have to step up to the microphone, ma'am. Come over here to the microphone, state your name, and if you're a resident of the town or not. Over there.
Yes, my name is Elizabeth McKinnon, and I'm a resident of White Township.
Okay, in 3 minutes for the record.
Okay. I'm here tonight to urge you to reconsider the approval of the warehouse on Howard Street. As a retired teacher of special education and early intervention, my concern is for the children. Over the years, I've had many students from Phillipsburg, and I've spent many hours with them and their families. The children have always enjoyed playing outside, on the sidewalks, and sometimes spilling over a little into the streets. They do so today. I've seen them today. They ride their bikes and their tricycles and their little kitty carts, and they wave and say hi to passersby. They are having fun. The streets in Phillipsburg are very narrow, and they cannot accommodate the trucks, and positively cannot accommodate warehouse trucks. In case you've never ever seen a warehouse truck, it's really frightening. So I want you to consider your vote, and I want you to take into that the children should be safe, and you should just say no to this whole project on behalf of those children and the children of Phillipsburg. Thank you.
I'm Joe Miner, and I live in Phillipsburg. And I favor the people who live in Phillipsburg, even a bunch of people who don't vote often enough and are a little poorer than the rest. They need jobs. This is a trade-off to a certain quality of life for the middle class and a certain quality of life for the poorer class. This warehouse will bring jobs. I was hoping, and I haven't been able to see it, and I don't know what the jobs are. Initially, they were $25 an hour jobs in a cooling factory. I don't know if the cooling factory thing still exists or not, and I haven't read it quick enough. I couldn't get. I hope that they do. But that would be wonderful if they're $25 an hour jobs. But even if they're $20 a jobs, we can use it. There are poor people in Phillipsburg struggling to make enough. We have housing people who spend half their income paying rent. They need jobs. It is sort of a trade-off. The other thing I want is I want that railroad head. I hope it's still there. Mr. Perucci will probably tell me, yes or no?
Joe,
Yes.
sit up here, please.
Yes. He will probably tell me because I want to know. I hope that railroad head, which will do wonders for Phillipsburg and shipping and reduce trucking, is on its way also.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else?
I'm Janice Hoxbach. I'm not only a Phillipsburg resident, I happen to live on Mercer Street, which is within a block or two of the proposed warehouse. I must admit that I'm very disappointed that those who profess to want the best for Phillipsburg couldn't find a better use of that land on Howard Street, such as the construction of railroad, canal museum, and cultural center. This weekend, we are again holding our annual Railroad Festival, which brought in over 3,000 visitors last year, with even more expected this year. Why not expand on that concept? Our town's past has a rich heritage with the Morris Canal and the railroads. That heritage built this town, and that same heritage should be promoted to help secure its future. Directly behind the property on Howard Street is a rail line that the Delaware Railroad excursion uses, and the museum and cultural center with the appropriate stop along that line. Ample parking could also be provided so that visitors would not have to search for spaces along our already crowded Main Street or pay high prices for parking in private lots. Yes, we would have a lot more traffic, but those cars will bring tourists into our town, and tourists bring money to spend. They will need places to eat, so restaurants would open and employees hired to accommodate those tourists. With an influx of tourists, other shops would soon fill the empty storefronts along our main street, and all would be within convenient walking distance of a museum on Howard Street. This would not only rebuild our downtown, it would also create jobs for our residents and generate income for the town. With the museum and cultural center, the town of Phillipsburg would become a destination and no longer a nondescript blip on a map that people pass through just to get to Easton. For the past 45 years, I have watched downtown Phillipsburg as it's been slowly dying due to lack of caring and poor decision-making by many previous administrations. The future of this town now rests with you. You can either help resurrect it to its former glory or erect its headstone. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. My name's Robert Hopkins. I live in Columbia, New Jersey. I'm the president of Warren County Building Trades. Lived in Warren County my whole life. Spent most of my life as a union carpenter driving down either Route 78 or Route 80 or traveling 80 to 100 miles to work on a daily basis. Responsible redevelopment like this and a recently completed project up at the Ingersoll Rand Complex can provide good jobs, good careers for not just people in the local trades and the local union trades, but good careers for people here in the town. Coming here my whole life, I just left Nicolosi's, just had dinner over there. Yeah, I go over to the mall barber and still get my hair cut. This is a town that my parents brought me to as a kid. I've seen too many people and too much industry move out of this town, across the river, or even out of this country. We need good, responsible redevelopment like this, so when I'm bringing people into our trade organizations, I don't have to say to them, I'm sorry, you gotta have the same career I did and drive 50 to 60 miles to work. I just took a young man who we recruited out of the Phillipsburg High School, just brought him into our trade union the other day. Just had to send him 60 miles to Shore Hills to work on a project. It would have been nice to say to that young man, listen, we have a project where you can work in your hometown and have stake in your own hometown and be a good volunteer in your town, not getting up at 4:30 in the morning and getting home at 7 o'clock at night and not coming home and knowing, you know what, I gotta get back up at 4:30 in the morning instead of getting up from 7 to 3:30 and going to work. That's the biggest problem we have, is opportunities for our local tradespeople. We hear there's a trade shortage. There's not enough people coming into the skilled trades and in the construction trades in this country. There's not a shortage of people wanting to get into that industry. There's a shortage of opportunity. You as a board tonight can make a decision as good, responsible redevelopment, just like other towns do around you, to provide a good tax base and a good career and good opportunity and even future opportunity as far as maintenance jobs and upkeep of that facility. So you have the support of our Warren County Building Trades, and we wish you the best and redevelopment even going forward. Thank you for your time.
David Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I am a town resident. Hello, esteemed member of council. So I'll start off and address a few things that I heard before I came up. First, in terms of the building trades, in 9 months, a warehouse will be constructed. The people who are getting that short commute to come in and work in the building trades in 9 months have to go somewhere else. 9 months to have a short commute is not enough to sacrifice the residents of Phillipsburg. Second thing is, I know people in major corporations that deal with warehouses, and they've heard about this and they laugh. Any warehouse, cold storage in particular, that is not automated in 5 to 10 years is out of business. The costs are too high. Everything will be automated, soup to nuts. Google it. I know you might not have time before you vote. In that case, table it, Google it. You do not get jobs out of cold storage in the future. And in terms of rail, there's no tenant at the time, so we don't know about rail. In 2006, Michael Perucci promised rail when he was doing his development, and we still don't have rail. And so that's a broken promise. Now, this evening, when you vote on the warehouse ordinance 2024-14, you will be showing your true colors. A vote for the warehouse and the developer is a vote against the residents of Phillipsburg. Are you for a warehouse with the associated toxic diesel fumes, tractor-trailer traffic, and tractor-trailer noise, or do you support the language of the master plan that restricts new zoning of the Howard Street area to Riverside Residential, Riverside Commercial, and Heritage and Open Space, which would be zoning that would positively complement the existing residential area of the flats of Phillipsburg and surrounding area? Do you stand on the side of the developer, Michael Perucci, and his law partner, Doug Steinhardt, whose name appeared on the flyers in the campaigns and supported the campaigns of some of you sitting on council? Or do you stand with the residents of Phillipsburg? Which side are you on? Tonight, when you cast your vote, we shall see. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Dan Boyce, Phillipsburg. I heard a couple things tonight I want to address. They're talking about residential going over to Easton. This developer tried over 16 years ago to bring residential in there and had no success doing it. Why do we beat a dead horse? Do we have to wait another 16 years before somebody says, hey, maybe let's make a change? Okay? Said that everybody up and down that area doesn't want it. I spoke to many people that I know. There was at least 56 people on the Mercer Street, South Main Street, Sitgrave Street area that said they are in favor of the warehouse. That sure as heck doesn't sound like nobody doesn't want it to me. Okay? The point we really need to look at is we need to take you out of our pockets. When you decide what we can do with property we own, what is stopping you from the next round? Look at China, where they prevent anybody from having a family. You can have one kid, that's it. Is that your next step? You're going to prevent this warehouse, and then you're going to prevent people from having children? Or what make or model or car they can have, if they can have it at all? I hear about the issues with the diesel and everything, and like I pointed out, we've got Route 22, we got Route 78 going right beside them, we have the train tracks going by, everything is diesel fueled. You look in that immediate area, how many brownfields do you have? Delaware River Park was a landfill. You got a brownfield where the Andover Morse School is. You got a brownfield where LMR is. You have the brownfield where right next door where the junkyard is. You want safety issues? What do you want? You want kids to grow up with two heads? I mean, really, we need to think of the realistic things about everything. Okay? It's been industrial for years and years and years. This could be such a change, honestly, because this industry can bring more industry into town, which will help even more. This lawsuit has cost the town over $4 million in lost tax revenue. This lawsuit has cost the town hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Think of that, hundreds of thousands of dollars. How many more crossing guards could be hired for the kids going to school where they can be safe? You want to talk about safety? Let's talk about safety. The town needs more crossing guards. If you didn't have to waste all this money on legal fees, maybe you could hire more crossing guards. Enough really is enough with it. Push this through, let it get started. People need these jobs. There's kids that are hungry. I just spoke at the school board meeting about it. Some of these kids go to school, they have
3 minutes. 3 minutes is up.
Really? I think your clock is fast. Thanks.
Sorry then. Anyone else before we vote on this ordinance?
Council President, may I comment?
1 minute, please. We have another.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Keith Wicker, 68-year resident of Phillipsburg, New Jersey. The house that I live in has paid taxes to this town in over 100 years, in my family. I look around and I only see maybe a handful of people in my category that have lived here that long. Little history, so people don't realize. I went to school down there, in a school with 300 kids. My uncle had a oil business on Howard Street. 2 diesel trucks every day, plus oil trucks being delivered. Across the street from Chopper Industry. Across the street next to that was the door, what was the name of it? Well, it was a lumber yard on the other side.
General Supply.
General Supply, thank you. General Supply was back there. Then around the corner, you had Bach Plastic. You went down the street, you had SMP with 65 tractors and trailers parked there. And across the street from that was the junkyard. There were trucks coming in for iron and steel every single day. There is no traffic down there now. There is very little truck traffic going to come out of this place. The only thing we're going to get is revenue. We're going to get taxes. The people, the land use board had tens of people come up and talk to each one of us. We want somebody paying taxes. We want this, we want that. I've heard a lot of people that don't live here, don't pay taxes, want to tell this town what to do. That's enough of that. We need to do what's right for the town. We need to have income coming into this town. We need jobs coming into this town. And I hope the warehouse gets built, and I hope the other side gets developed. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, seeing none.
Can I?
Yes.
Good evening. Guy Citron, not from Phillipsburg. Just want to address a few points quickly. I heard the good gentleman Robert speak, and I was very moved by what he had to say. But I do think that the public deserves to know if there's a PLA in place that will guarantee that the warehouse would be built with union labor local, because that would be great. Number two, we talk about creating jobs. There's a tremendous community on Main Street that is getting organized. I've been to their meetings. These are shop owners who live and play and work right here in town, and they are deeply concerned about what kind of new truck traffic would come in that might be preventative to customers coming from out of town to deposit their money here to help grow the local economy. So the idea that only a warehouse creates jobs, I think, is a little bit of a pigeonhole. And then number three, the idea that everything had been tried in the past and that no one could build residential or a heritage site or a commercial site. I think the public deserves to know the facts on that, because I've heard conflicting things. What I really want to talk about is what happened at the board meeting where the consistency report was voted in. Mr. Branch said when he cast his vote, and I thought he was very brave to qualify it, that he wasn't voting on the merit of the consistency report. He said that maybe this is the best we can do. Well, why? Why is this the best we can do? I know that there were 100 people who signed letters from Howard Street and Mercer Street for the council members at that meeting to express that this is not what they wanted, that they were too scared to show their faces here in person. I know that Amari, good friend of mine, and myself were approached at the end of last meeting by the Honorable Councilman Skirbo, and he told us that speaking truth to power here is, I believe, dangerous.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there with scared. There's no one in this town of Phillipsburg that can't call me or talk to me. I don't believe in vengeance.
Finish my 3 minutes?
Excuse me, I will let you.
Thank you.
But don't say that this board is scaring anybody or intimidating anyone. I take that personally, because people up here will help anyone, not only in our town, anyone that they know in any area. So if you want to say scare or vengeance, please file it. Who you're pertaining will have the officer follow it up. That is not fair to this council or to the people of this town. You haven't lived here as long as I have. You haven't traveled everything here with a town with 19% poverty, that these people need to go to work. And they can't have a car because everything's so expensive. So don't say there's intimidation by this council. Continue your time.
When I ran for assembly last year, my lawn signs were messed with. A bomb threat was called in my son's school the day before the election. And I've been threatened online. I respect that this is personally difficult for you to talk about.
Well, I've been threatened.
Sir, may I finish?
Go ahead, but I've been threatened. So don't come to the council about what happened to you. You have been channeled to go to the law enforcement. File charges. Go ahead.
I am trying to answer a very simple question that was posed by Mr. Branch, which is, well, he didn't pose the question, but I'm posing the question. Why is this the best we can do? And I think the answer truly is that there is a culture of bullying here. And I think that's sad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. But for the record, there is no bullying from any member of this board. If there is, let me know. I will go to the chief of police and we'll investigate it. I take that as a personal insult for someone who's helped people in this town. And we're going to, and I shouldn't talk about this, but I am, because I'm irritated. I've been here for 79 years. 33 of them in the Phillipsburg post office. 19% poverty. These people want to get a chance to have something, right? And now I'm going to stick up for Mr. Perucci for one reason. 20-some years ago when I was on this council, you tried to get something in, didn't get it. Finally, they did it. 20 years later, young Peabody people can't wait another 20 years to have the opportunity to work. The building industries don't want these people going 70 miles an hour, 70 miles from work. To those who have to travel 78 and 22, it's not fair. And I'm for fair, and I don't care about politics. I care about my town. I care about the people who need it. I was on the school board for 4 terms too. So when somebody comes to this pulpit and tries to intimidate me, you're intimidating the wrong guy. You want to tell the truth? I'll listen. But don't ever say you were bullied, because I'll personally call the chief of police or the prosecutor. So with that said, Council.
Council President. Council President.
Yeah.
I'd like to address the accusation that was made recently, just a couple minutes ago. I had never said that.
Do that in your open time, just discuss with this ordinance.
This has to do with the project.
Okay.
So I came to the land board, the land use meeting, listened to everyone like I always do. I have, in the past year, I have commended the people in the orange shirts that come here, that they have a voice in this community, and I would think they do a great job every time, and I want them to keep coming back, or anyone to keep coming back, because that's what this town's about. I would never intimidate anyone. I would never say anyone, it's dangerous for you to say that. This gentleman actually, when I ran for council, was online making bullying comments against me with his fellow Democratic Committee members that sit to the left of me. So I take, like what Council President Marino says, I take this stuff serious. If you want to come here with allegations and lies and try to ruin our meeting.
Excuse me, Councilman, we're not going to discuss any other councilman, just stick to the facts.
Sure. So I appreciate you all coming out. Like I said, you came out, you did a great job stating your views, you always did. I want to state my view on this project like I have in the past. I think bringing jobs here to this community should be at the forefront of anything we do, because we need to make this economy better. There's kids starving, like was mentioned, there's families hurting, can't pay their rent. If we could provide jobs, especially to union trade jobs, which I was a union trade member for 12 years, I support them, they're the best in the business. This project will clean up where there's a homeless problem, there's drugs, needles, drug dealers. It'll light it up with LED lights, clean it up, put a building there that'll serve a purpose and help this economy get back on track. And for the developer that wants to do that, for us to try to push them away that might be able to continue the success from there and build on that in our downtown area or wherever he may want to look at next, like he has in the East End. I think that is just foolish of anyone to come here and do that, and say that about this man. So I support this project, and I always have from the start because of the reasons I just stated. That's all I have, Council President.
Any other discussion on council?
Yeah, Council President, if I may. I don't know how many people here have ever visited that site on Howard Street. Certainly it is in need of development. There is, as Councilman Skirbo said, there's a homeless situation down there. It's overgrown with weeds. There are other issues down there. I previously voted yes for a previous cold storage project that was to go in there because I was shown proof that rail would be used. I researched the company that was going to go in at the time. They in fact did use rail all up and down the East Coast because a stumbling block for me has always been truck traffic. Certainly like I said, certainly something needs to go there. My concern at this point is we don't know who the tenant will be. We don't know that they'll use rail. And if they are in fact using trucks, currently there's another warehouse being built on Edge Road in Alpha off of Route 122 heading out of town. There's also a proposed warehouse at the Phillipsburg Mall site. So again, the stumbling block for me has always been truck traffic, and my main concern as far as Phillipsburg goes would be for the people at Delaware Heights. That's their only way in and out of town. is that southern section of town, 122, and then coming into South Main Street. So that's why I can't support this. If it was like the previous cold storage and I had assurances that rail would be used, I would change my mind. But for now, we don't know who's going in there, so for now, I have to be a no. Thank you, Council President.
Any other discussion on Councilman Wright?
Thank you, Council President. So clearly, this is a very controversial issue, one that's been happening for, 3-4 years now that we've been discussing. I know that this is probably most likely going to pass. I know what I'm going to say probably doesn't matter, but I'm going to speak anyway, because I do want to voice my opinion on this. I want the people to know where I stand on this. I'm not supporting this warehouse, all right? Never supported the warehouse. I think it's the wrong location. I'm not against warehouses. I believe they have their use in the right locations, but this in a residential, poor neighborhood, so close to a river, is just not the right thing. Now, I hear a lot of stories about the past and the history of our town, and I believe it is a rich history. And yes, it is industrial. But we need to stop focusing on the 20th century and start thinking about the 21st century. Jobs. We need to bring jobs to our town. And I keep hearing about how the next generation needs these jobs. Well, let me tell you about my generation. We're not running to warehouse jobs. Technology is wiping those jobs out. Now, we have more young people my age and younger, going into the trades, carpentry, plumbing, skills. But warehouse jobs, because of automation and technology, are being wiped out. There's no future in these jobs. So we'll be stuck with this warehouse for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it's going to be my generation stuck with that. Most of y'all, no. And I hate to put it so bluntly, but we need to think forward. We need to think about the jobs of the future. I'm all for jobs. I'm constantly fighting for business growth in this town. But is the warehouse the right choice? I agree, something does need to go there. There are homeless encampments. There is drug use. There is less than reputable activity happening there. But we can clean that up with any other project. I have pushed for a grocery store, quite honestly, personally. I push for anything else that could create revenue, that will lead into the jobs of the 21st century, that my generation actually want. So I understand we're thinking about the next generation, but as a member of the next generation, as a professor that's teaching Gen Z, they're not going to warehouses. It's time for Phillipsburg to take the next step, and that's just the economic standpoint. We're not even talking about the environmental justice aspect yet, the health hazards, the truck traffic, the neighborhood safety. I'm not against jobs, and I'm not against warehouses in practice, but this is not the right location, and we need to be thinking about the solutions for tomorrow, not trying to plug a hole for today. Enough short-term solutions, let's go for the long term. So for those reasons, I will not support this. So thank you for your time to speak.
It's been said multiple times at all the meetings. There's so many people against it. Have you tried to generate the money to buy the property from Mr. Perucci? I haven't seen any of that happening. It's been sitting vacant with homeless people. A lot of dumping going down there that has created issues for the residents down there. The property needs to be cleaned up. He's working on getting the tenants, and he's also looking at doing other projects. I support it. It's better than the way it is now. And again, the whole idea of a grocery store, there's been other locations discussed. Nobody's interested in bringing a grocery store into the town. It's a good idea, but put your money up where your mouth is. I support it.
I'll tell you why I'm voting yes for it. When I started at the post office, we had over 18,000 residents of this town. We're down under 16,000. If anyone here walked the Howard Street back there when they had houses, none of you did, but I did. If you had code inspection for those homes at that time, they would be condemned, which eventually they were. Okay? I sat on this council 20 years ago when we could have brought something in on the old Ingersoll Rand property. So I hear all this young stuff about vision. We had the vision back there, we didn't have the votes to do it. what the town could have bought back then, we didn't have the people with vision, only a few. We always got outvoted. And that's another reason why I'm going to vote yes. I hear the young people. We've got a lot of young people in our family. Good for them. I'm also concerned about us elderly people. We're tired of carrying the tax lid. If I could work with one arm, they can go to work with two arms. If we don't open up properties, business people, I don't have that kind of money. I'm not going to open up something. So that's why I'm going to support it. We got to get these people in Phillipsburg, like the union man said, that they could go to work. How many young people can go buy a $40,000 car today? And by the way, I sold cars. Very few. Joe, I've done everything. That's why I vote. You've got to give Phillipsburg a chance to get back off the ground and get out of the 19th and 20th century and get into the 21st. To those who are on the school board, and there's some former board members here, without the state help and what we've got one of the better educational institutions, not only in the state of New Jersey, in my opinion, in the country. You've got, I don't know how many people with doctor's degree teaching kids. We finally got a community college. We can't walk and crawl anymore. We got to start getting to the facts. We got to start building Phillipsburg back. It's disgusting to be in this town 80 years and see the decline of it. Because there's always people who don't like, we're never going to agree on everything. But I'll tell you one thing, when that building goes and these people start working, and it helps the tax rate, so we don't have to raise taxes, and as an elderly person, I don't want to raise nothing anymore. But we do if we want to stay in our town that we love. For that reason, I'll be voting yes. Susan, roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
No.
Councilman Kennedy?
No.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Okay, moving on. Ordinance 2024-20. Ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, New Jersey, approving an application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement for a tax exemption for an urban renewal project with respect to Block 1005, Lot 3, 540 Marshall Street. You need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is another one that's open to the public. Anyone would like to come up? Just state your name and if you're a resident.
I'm Joe Miner and I live in Phillipsburg. And if this is a pilot, they are the most, I'm against pilots. We end up losing money by pilots. I am for this little store, if I got what it is, a store in a senior residence. It's exactly the right thing to put on that little hunk of land there. But you gotta get the deal done without a pilot. The pilot, it certainly helps the developer. And if it wasn't for the outrageous capital gains to be made in real estate these days, they would have some argument that they need some relief. But merely owning that hunk of land and using it so it pays for itself in our present federal economic problem, which is inflation of housing. Don't give out the pilot, please. At least consider not doing the pilot. See if the guy can go it alone and pay taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else?
Dan Boyce, as far as I know, I'm still from Phillipsburg. Concerning the property, I agree with what Joe just said. The pilot program, you have it for 30 years. That does seem kind of extensive. Maybe it could be cut down. I mean, it would be hypocritical for me to come up here and talk about the last project and how much money was lost in taxes and then be supportive of this one where you're giving up taxes. Okay? I understand things, but you really need to look at the whole picture. 8 years ago, at least 8 years ago, 9 years ago, a man bought that property to build a motel and a grocery store on there. He bought it while it was zoned for a motel, they changed the zoning on him. It screwed him over, okay? That was shot down by 2 mayors ago. Last mayor, he proposed putting up a strip mall and again a grocery store, and that was shot down by the mayor. Now, do I know this for a fact? Yes, I do, because the man bought everything from Ahart's for the purpose of opening up the grocery store there. It's really redundant to keep beating this dead horse about we need a grocery, we need a grocery. You could have had a grocery 8 years ago. In fact, there was a developer, and I know the person that did the contact from him, there's a developer from Easton who contacted Trader Joe's. They wanted them to come in, they were going to buy the old Ahart's building and put it in there. And Trader Joe said they didn't want to come in because of all the stuff. You just see what went on earlier today. Okay, all the drama, really. I mean, you should really sell this program to ABC. They can use another soap opera, I'm sure. It's just, it's sad. Maybe you can address this. And this developer that was screwed over twice was going to do everything out of his pocket too. He didn't ask for a pilot program. Maybe you can go back to this developer and see if he's willing to maybe cut it down to 10 years or something that's a little more feasible for the town. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Bill Benz, Phillipsburg. I just only had a question that you could lead us as citizens, where we could learn more about how these arrangements are made and what is done by the town so we can understand the difference between the financial cost of 30-year versus 25 or 20. So we could get a little bit more understanding about the process to provide a little bit more understanding about the impact to the tax base. And I simply asked for simply a direction or some kind of a reference to go do my own research. Yes, sir.
Go right. All right, so it starts with the first criteria is that the property has to be in a redevelopment area, right? It can't be property that's not located in a redevelopment area. That's the first criteria.
We have a few of those.
Yes. Second criteria is that the developer submits an application to the mayor with the statutory criteria in that application identifying the cost of construction that has to be certified either by an engineer or an architect, the pro forma of the financials, and then the proposed terms of the financial agreement that are in accordance with the statute. Then the mayor reviews it, and in this case, we actually brought in Todd Poole, financial consultant, who reviewed the pro forma that was submitted by the developer. We had negotiations on that. And
he's the 30-year expert?
Yes. And he also did the one for 75 South Main Street, the Elks building. Right. The developer has to show, under the law, that but for the long-term tax exemption, the project can't be built. In other words, if we did traditional taxation, can't build the project. And that was shown definitively through the numbers. Our financial consultant, town hired, retained independently, agreed with that assessment. The first proposal from the developer was basically a shell corporation with a master lease, lessor lessee provision to make the numbers work. We didn't agree with that, and so we settled at the statutory minimum 10%.
And with that agreement, the town actually, we figured, would have lost money.
Yes. Yeah. It was. So this is a project that this particular project I'm talking about, the 540 Marshall, is one that the margins are razor thin on it. The cost of construction, because it doesn't matter if you are building in Phillipsburg or you're building in Summit, right? The cost of construction typically is the same wherever you're building, right? But the rents that you demand are obviously not the same if you're building in Phillipsburg or if you're building in Summit. So the cash flow coming in over the life of the project is not as significant as it would otherwise be if it was in a more affluent part of New Jersey. So because of that, it was a very hard deal to put together to make happen. So that's why we settled on 10% over the course of the pilot. But by the way, we're talking $165,000 a year to the town at build out versus $55,000 a year to the town at build out if it was ad valorem taxation. So the town is really coming out ahead on this, and that is again because although the developer is paying less in taxes, 95% of what the developer pays goes to the town, 5% goes to the county. This is a senior project. This is not going to have an impact on the schools. But by the way, that was also taken into consideration in our negotiations with our financial consultant and with the developer, all the soft costs that are associated, not just the numbers, the cost of construction, everything else, what are the administrative soft costs that are associated with the project, and what is the impact on that to the town long term. So that's a long way to explain that.
That makes a lot, that explains a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Seeing none, council, any questions on that? Thanks. Nothing from council. Susan, roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Ordinance 2024-21, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending section 6723, Schedule 7, stop intersections of the code of the town of Phillipsburg to add stop intersections on Schultz Avenue at Erwin Street and Bartlett Street at Lindale Street. We need a motion?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Open to the public. Anyone want to discuss? Seeing nothing, council? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Okay, ordinance 2024-22, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg amending chapter 29, development fees.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, anyone in the public discuss fees? I think they're only about 10 years behind schedule, so it's good to see that we're coming with the rest of the state. Any discussion among council? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Ordinances for the first reading. This would only be for council, not for the public. Ordinance 2024-23, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending chapter 67-7, road truck restrictions.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion among council?
Glad to see you coming.
Tim, excellent job. All we have to do now is enforce it. Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Ordinance 2024-24, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 360 entitled Land Use Procedures, deleting in their entirety certain sections of Article 7, fees, to increase the financial obligations described therein. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion among council? Seeing none, roll call please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Okay, and as I earlier stated, 2024-25 was pulled for further discussion on that. Okay, we're moving to the resolutions. Need a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion on them?
We just need a second. Motion and a second. Does anyone want to pull any of them?
Does anybody want to pull any of them? We need a second.
Second.
No one wants to pull any? Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Okay, Councilman under old business, Councilman Clark,
No.
Councilman Kennedy,
I have nothing.
Councilman Skirbo.
I just have a couple things. Just want to circle back to the discussion we had about the bus stop. There was concern there. And also wanted to see if we can get the safe walking routes, if all the council can get a copy of that, so we can see where all the safe walking routes are in town for the students. Something that wasn't really looked at the past 4 years, and it might need to be revamped and looked at again. And that's all I have.
Yeah, you make a fantastic point about that. That's probably something we should look at. Traffic patterns change. You know, people who had kids in a certain area 10 years ago, you know, those type of dynamics change. I know my neighborhood has gotten younger, so those walking routes may have been altered, you know, and changed slightly since they came into effect. So it's something we probably should revisit.
Thank you, Mayor.
Council Vice President?
Nothing.
The only thing I have under old business, down on the flats, it's railroad property, leads to the town. We'll be looking into that, so it's going to take some time. I've made several phone calls to the railroad and talked to the chief of police about it. So it's going to be working in progress. There's a tractor and there's an RV right there behind the Stockton Street churches, but we can't do anything until we find out all the proper ownership. So that's all I have. New business, Councilman Clark.
Just one thing. So I'd like to propose, as many folks know, between the Free Bridge and the Black Bridge, it's very dark during the nights. I would like to propose using UEZ funds to replace the outdated lamp lights with new LED ones that are brighter.
You voted for that already.
Oh,
it was
good.
yeah, it was in the council agenda like 2
Oh,
months ago.
amazing. So many people vote on. Great. Excellent. I can mark that off my to-do list.
Efficient.
Yeah, right? Then I have nothing.
Councilman Kennedy.
I don't have
At least it's a
anything.
good point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, it's a reminder.
Councilman Kennedy.
I don't have anything, Council President.
Councilman Skirbo.
Yeah, I have just a few suggestions. So I just want to ask the mayor, I know before Youth Corps, they had their vehicles used to be parked back in the parking lot by the pool. That was during the construction. They got moved over to where would be an old building that DPW used to use. Can we maybe contact them and see if we can get those vehicles back to the parking lot? Because I know a lot of residents, that's just more of the space for the park that we could be used for the residents.
Sure.
Right there.
Yeah, we can. I was up there walking around the other day. They've accumulated quite a few vehicles and trailers.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of they used to have them there, and then when they did the construction, they would just maybe just put them back there. It's not like, I don't think they're meaning to do it, but it's just they got moved there.
I have to talk to them tomorrow.
Okay, well that's good.
On a different matter, so, yeah.
And another suggestion would be, you know, we're reaching hurricane season where it could be heavy downpours. We could go around and check the basins and the drains around town, just to try to get ahead of that. It could cause, you know, try to get ahead of the problems that could happen with flooding and whatnot. Those are just two observations I had. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Council Vice President.
I'm good.
You're good? So am I. Any motions? Okay, public petitions, ma'am.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
My name is Kiana Laviana. I am not a resident. I opened a business here recently. The name of our business is Believe in J. We provide support to developmentally disabled adults. We're state contracted with DDD. And we are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. We provide transportation, but not only do we have a very awesome agenda with trips and recreational things, we provide pre-vocational training. So what I noticed about the township so far is that there are people that are underdiagnosed. And so they may have went to high school and had an IEP, graduated, and are not getting services. So they're underemployed or unemployed, and we have the ability to provide payment to their families who are supporting them, but also training them. And it comes straight from the state. It's an unlimited amount. And so we did try to get the word out. We spoke to various social service agencies, the schools, et cetera. And it's kind of like, well, we have jobs. So it's like a laissez-faire response. It's like, okay, we'll get back to you. And we have a gorgeous facility. It's newly renovated. We're right in the Coventry complex, right off of Red School Lane. We are where Lehigh Valley Cardiologist used to be. And so we just wanted to let the town know we're here. And I did speak to your office yesterday, and I forwarded the calendar and a lot of other information. And so we just hope to work with you all, if we can get the word out there or anything, to be able to provide jobs and training.
Thank you very much. I appreciate. I did look into your information that you sent. Did you go to LoPACCon as well?
So no, we didn't just go to LoPACCon because our address says
Phillipsburg,
Phillipsburg, but it also
So
says LoPACCon.
You're in LoPACCon,
Okay.
which, listen, you can come here and offer your services as well, but you're also in LoPACCon as well.
Okay.
So maybe look at going to one of their meetings as well, reaching out to their mayor and council as well.
Awesome, no problem. And we did, so one of the issues that I found was that the families are extremely interested, but it's hard to get the information out. So we've been kind of like on foot in the grocery stores, et cetera. And so we are probably about 4 minutes away. So that's kind of like why we're here, because we're doing Warren County as a whole. Okay, all right, have a great evening.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Bill Benz, Phillipsburg, I think this is the first 2 in 1 night. It's a big deal. I just wanted to let everybody know that on Saturday is the Railroad Festival, going to be enormous. I saw some stats about some of the sharing, some of the information that's been made available. Some of the videos, for example, that were produced have been viewed by over 100,000 people. So we're very excited about the event. It's going to be in 3 areas. It has the train station, which you might have noticed, the front is now red after blasting it with what I think are walnuts. They're just doing the finishing painting. If you haven't driven by, please do. I think they're working probably tonight. There were some folks out yesterday putting up a lot of bunting, putting up a lot of flags that they were celebrating, not celebrating, maybe recognizing the attacks of 9/11 this morning. Thank you, Mayor, for your presentation. It was incredibly moving. So back to the good stuff, fun stuff. The Railroad Festival is going to be there at the Union Station. It's going to be the railroad excursion as well as something in Chappelle Park. They're expecting what is essentially the best weather ever. I'm told that there was somebody who had some control over that. I thanked him, and we left it at that. So I just want to say, I hope I see everybody there. Thank you so much.
Anyone else under public position?
Shahid Warren, 631 South Main Street. I just have a question. Me and a concerned resident was talking the other day. Do we have enough money in the budget for repairs on South Main Street? I've been here for 6 years. I'm not sure if I observed what sidewalks and streets are. And I think that we need repairs on sidewalks and streets. When I'm walking on it doesn't look professional, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that we have enough budget money in Phillipsburg to get repairs for
So sidewalk repairs fall on the onus of the property owner.
Because I don't know if I have to talk to my landlord about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But me and the resident was like, resident said in her mouth saying that the Phillipsburg has to handle sidewalks and not the landlord.
I mean, if we're responsible for the damage in some cases, if we have to open it or something, maybe. But if it's wear and tear, there's, if it's just years of chipping ice and things like that, then it will fall on the property owner. The roadways, hopefully, when they're done digging up parts of the road, the utility companies are required to put money into an escrow to pave once they're done, opening up what seems like every road in Phillipsburg right now, whether it's for water or gas, natural gas main replacement. Yeah, that those should be, am I correct in saying that, Tim? Tim would know better.
You're correct. The next major utility project is majority of the water lines in the downtown along South Main are scheduled for replacement. So we're kind of town's been trying to work with the utilities to avoid paving just for them to dig it up.
In the past, you may have noticed that once something's paved, it seems like it's dug up within a month. And we're really trying to not do that going forward, if we can.
That's all. Thank you.
I'm sorry we're not more clear
It's okay.
about when, but that's the procedure.
It's okay. We just didn't want, because she's nervous that sinkhole might be a problem. That sinkhole might be a thing, because trucks has been going down South Main Street a lot. And she said that due to trucks going down South Main Street, there's a crack in the street in front of our houses. And she's scared, and I'm scared because my mom drives, that a car might go down. So that's why I came here today, to see if there's anything that we can do to get good streets on South Main. That's all.
Sure.
Anyone else under public petitions?
Good evening, Council. David Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights. What I'd like to talk to a little bit is Tractor Trailer Creek. When a number of years ago, there was a company called Opus that bought the Ingersoll Rand property. This is the predecessor of Bridgepoint Development that now currently owns it. Back then, the mayor and the council very strenuously said that Roseberry between Center Street and Marshall Street will remain truck restricted and will never carry Bridgepoint trucks. Well, we have a new truck route plan, and for whatever reason, Roseberry Street is now open to truck traffic from Bridgepoint Development. In December of 2021, Center Street was on a truck route map to be opened up to have trucks. Based on the engineer's comments to me in my conversations with him from DOT, Department of Transportation, New Jersey, the letters and resistance from the residents of Center Street played a major part in stopping Center Street from becoming a truck route. The easiest way, should a warehouse be built either on the Perone Howard Street property or somewhere else in that area, the easiest way to get to Route 22 to head west is down South Main Street, which is being blocked. I can understand that. The other route is Center Street. The next easiest route is St. James Avenue in Pohatcom. So, Council President, I think we need to let the residents know they need to be vigilant, because as Councilman Clark so aptly pointed out, not all of us are going to be here forever and be able to remember that we made these commitments for this truck route. Developers that have a lot of power, money, and connections can get their way and may be able to alter these truck routes in the future. So I urge residents of Center Street and St. James Avenue, and anybody who cares, to be vigilant and stay informed with the town meetings and not let this happen, not let these streets become truck routes. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Ed Bullock. Can you hear me all right? I have a business at 324 South Main Street, and I have some questions. And again, this isn't a finger-pointing situation. I just want to know if there's things we can do or ordinances that apply to some situations that I'm concerned about. One is I often walk from my office down to the Catholic Church, okay? The trash on the sidewalks there and in the wheel wells where those trees are is a mess. I counted 4 spots where people did not clean up after their dogs. Don't property owners have to clean that up? Is there some kind of monitoring where you go by because and we have music in the park Thursday nights, the chamber, I'm the chamber chair. People tell me, it's a mess. We park our car down the street. Look at the garbage in the street. It makes the image of this town horrible, okay? And again, I'm not pointing the finger at you because I don't know if there's an ordinance for that. I don't know if you have some kind of a plan to be doing this. Another condition that I have is, now you talked about safety, walking safety. There are people riding battery-powered bikes past my office, coming flying down the hill from Joe's Steak Shop. And I have people who are mostly over 50. I'm a financial advisor, okay? So I'm concerned about these conditions based upon my type of clientele, the garbage. Adults, I'm talking about adults. Children have some scooters. That's not a concern of mine. But if you were to stay in front of my office for a week and you saw how fast these people, adults, fly by my office, it's crazy. I have people coming out the front door going like this. They never tell you they're coming. You'll be walking down the sidewalk. You don't know they're coming. It's an accident waiting to happen. But what I want to know from you is there anything on the books that can keep them off the sidewalk, number one? The other part of it is there's garbage across the street from me, and I've spoken to the mayor, Pat Kays, about this. I've spoken to Councilman Kennedy about this. Garbage is overloaded. It falls out of the cans. It's on right now. There's some on the sidewalk that's fallen out of the cans. Again, my clients see it when they come in and say, you know, it looks like a dump. Next to me, there's an empty church. I've been there 13 years. It's still empty. What I want to know is if somebody buys a property and they tell you they're going to open a restaurant, isn't there a time period where those people have to start some construction, submit something to you, or can they buy a property and just leave it there the way it is? Because I've had to call because they didn't cut the grass, there's chipped paint. If their restaurant was where my building was and I owned the church and I didn't cut the grass, they certainly would be saying, we have a restaurant here. You can't have your property like this. Well, now that's one of my concerns. These are all concerns I think are very legitimate. And I would like to know if anyone's addressed these, thought about them, been told about these situations, and what your response is to these. Because you know what, I am tired of this, and I can look for greener pastures tomorrow.
Excuse me.
And I'm thinking about it.
You're 3 minutes up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about the 3 minutes.
The points are really valid and taken, that our role is to legislate, so we'll turn it over to the mayor.
Sure. So the church we spoke about last Thursday, I spoke to him the next day, the grass was addressed. I spoke to him again on Tuesday about what their financial plans are and fixing up. They own the house and the church next to it. The house is their first priority. They have been working there. That's 2 doors down. So
what have they been doing? What kind of work?
Interior work mostly.
Okay.
So the church is their secondary project, but they are working on it. They do live just across the river in Easton, so they're over at the house, I think more frequently now than they were.
Doing what?
They told me working on it.
Okay. To me, that's very general. That could last forever and,
Sure.
and keep the condition the same. If you agree, if you were me,
Okay.
would you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
So
all right. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? If I just said, well, they're working on it, and
Yeah.
I'm the mayor, and I'm not trying to make you look bad or anything. I'm just saying, in fairness, I would be saying, okay, we're working on it. Is that good enough?
I would say, in fairness, the town has taken a lot longer on things like the municipal building. I think these people are, their intentions are good. Some people.
I expect that.
Hold on. They're not financial planners like yourself. So when they're taking on an endeavor, maybe they take a little bit more caution when opening up a business, things like that. Maybe you could go faster, but they may not have the financial, I guess, wherewithal and savviness. So for them to be cautious in their first investment, I'm okay with it as long as
They keep moving on. They check in with our inspections department. The grass did get out of hand. It was addressed the next day, or 2 days later, I believe.
Andrew did a great job.
Who?
Andrew,
Okay.
one of your inspectors.
Oh, okay. Andrew, yeah. So the garbage, it was an issue. It was a worse issue. It still needs to be kept up. We used to have no garbage bags in our cans in Chappelle Park, and it got picked up once a week regardless. They would only be picked up on trash days. We changed to multiple times a week with trash bags, so we could actually pick it up without, so it has improved. It could use more improvement. Regardless of how much trash was in there, it always leaked out of the bottom, overflowed, and you could only pick up those metal cans.
Diapers.
Yeah, yeah. So now if after music in the park, we send a pickup truck around with guys that doesn't require a garbage truck to pick it up like they used to do it once a week. We can get it multiple times a week if there's an event. But yeah, like you said.
The garbage in front of all down Main Street, do they have to address that? Or can they just leave the garbage there?
No, they should
I
be
pick
addressing
mine
it.
up. I get garbage thrown on the sidewalk in front of my business.
Sure.
Every night, and I pick it up in the morning.
Yeah, so that's something we can work on. We've been sending inspectors around. I think we have a decent priority list. We've been working on unsafe living homes, places where there's squatters. That is top priority on the list. Inspectors can write summons. We do have I would say some staffing shortages as far as that go, compared to the amount of problems that have accumulated over the years. So I think the priority should be those dangerous homes, dangerous living conditions, illegal rentals, things of that nature where if there's a fire, people's lives are in danger. I think next on the priority list is illegal businesses. We just discussed abandoning cars in backyards, on roads. Those tend to, those are just as dangerous. That's a bigger form of garbage on our roads if you think about it. Hopefully, as we keep chipping away at those bigger issues become less and less, and we work our way to the smaller issues. Like you said, it has accumulated over time. The best I think we can do is prioritize based on safety, based on the urgency of the problem, based on how it affects the town overall. Garbage does affect the town negatively. Does have to be addressed, and it is on the list of things to address.
And I look at it as, and I'll stop, I look at it as though businesses should want to be here.
Yeah.
But if you don't realize the problems and they leave, then you've lost a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any public petitions, Joe? That's Sandra.
Sorry, Joe. Sandra Morissette, resident. There are no cross signs on the north or the south side of Union Square to cross Main Street to the Free Bridge. And I know my husband has called several people in the town hall, and
I'm sorry, where is that located?
so if you're on the side near the Union Hotel,
Okay.
that would be the north side, or where the old liquor shop used to be, that would be the south side. There's no crosswalk signs. So there's no, it's really dangerous either going towards the hotel from the Free Bridge at your back or coming back.
So
Because I'm walking down to Easton to meet my husband, and a couple of times I've almost been hit by people.
I have to check to see where the Bridge Commission owns. We talked about traffic control for the Railroad Festival. That light is controlled by the Bridge Commission.
Okay.
So where they own, when they were controlling traffic during the construction of the Free Bridge, our officers were there because they were being paid by the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission as a joint effort to control the traffic during the remediation of that bridge. So I do think that might be Bridge Commission property. We can look into it. If it's ours, we can definitely do cross.
If it is theirs, then Mayor Piazza, could you possibly remind them? Because I
Sure.
talked to the guards there, and they say, no, it's the town, because Easton has a similar issue. They're
I
not
think they have
missing.
the same issue we do.
Okay, On Morris Street, there have been boxes of rubbish now for over a week and a half as you go up Morris Street before Chambers, right next to the wall. If somebody could look at that. And behind the wall, where there's an opening, there are many tires, not to mention also rubbish. But the tires we will be breeding mosquitoes in. And lastly, to follow up with what the other gentleman was saying, I have encountered electric bikes wrong way coming down a one-way street, flying through a stop sign, and I almost hit somebody the other day, and also on the pavement. So I share very much his concerns. Thank you very much.
Sure. Joe? And I live in town. Joe Weiner. And the first one, so I had garbage can in front of my property, and that was nice. Wyatt put them in when he was mayor. And then little by little, they got disappeared. And almost all the councilmen and myself and a whole bunch of citizens had the habit of picking up garbage and throwing in these. And then they started taking down the garbage cans on South Main Street. And I asked them why, and I spoke up. At one point, anyhow, there's less and less and less, almost no garbage cans. And when I pick up in the morning, I used to pick up and throw it in the garbage can in front. Then I used to pick it up and throw it in the one across the street. And then I picked it up now and throw it on the one on the way to parking lot a block away. And when I'm not going that direction, and I don't feel like picking it up and throwing it in my little garbage can that's inside my door, I throw it right on the curb because I'm pissed off. Could you please just plain put the garbage cans back on South Main Street?
I'll be honest, I don't know where they went.
To a block.
I'm not sure, honestly, Joe, we should probably do, if there was that many before, we don't have that many, they're not at the municipal building. So if they were taken down, I'm not sure what the town did with them in the past. We should probably
I know I
order
had
them.
asked about why they're going away.
Yeah.
And I was told, well, the merchants don't want them.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
Well, we all have stories.
Okay.
We tend to believe our own stories are true, you know. And I take care of a lot of things that way. I thought it was, that's good. I had something else, but I'm old and I forgot.
Anyone else under public petitions? Seeing none. Moving to council open time, Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Council President. First, I'm sure we'll hear this from many people today. We had a beautiful tribute today at Chappelle Park this morning for September 11th. As always, the town has commemorated the event to really memorialize the effect that it had on our nation and our town. So it was a beautiful ceremony, and thank you for everyone that attended. I couldn't help as I stood up there with my fellow elected officials, where we were at that time. And I kind of laughed a little in my head because I was 9 when it happened, just old enough to understand what was going on, but still young enough to have to be sat down by my parents to have them explain to me what exactly was going on. And then it dawned on me, because many people know that I teach, and many of my students were born in 2006. They have no recollection of 9/11. They were born far after it. A, realizes how old I'm getting, and B, it makes me remember how important it is for us to not lose the lessons that we learned from 9/11 with the passage of time. An entire generation is coming of age that has no connection to it. It's just going to be a moment in history, in the history books for them. Just like how Vietnam is for me and World War II for many others. I guess I'm just sharing this because I think it's important for us to keep those lessons alive as time goes on, and realizing that a younger generation is now coming on. It's no longer the millennials anymore that are the potential new generation,
But Gen Y or Gen Z or Gen A or whatever they're calling it nowadays, they're now becoming adults, and they're going to be the new leaders of tomorrow. So that's what I was thinking about at today's tribute. So I just want to thank everyone that came out. And then finally, the Firth Youth Center will be having its 33rd annual banquet tomorrow. Now I know it's sold out, but you can still do something. You can still donate. Any donation that goes to the Firth Youth Center helps our kids, helps the youth here in town, gives them something to do, recreation, helps keep them out of trouble. And the Firth Youth Center honestly is one of the gems of our town. So please, if you're not attending the banquet, please still consider making a donation to them. The banquet's happening tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. at the actual building at the center. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. Councilman Kennedy.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Railroad Festival, but Mr. Benz already stole my thunder. But everyone should attend. It's a great event. It's growing. It's been well attended the last couple of years. This is the 3rd year for it, which is hard for me to believe already. But I'm looking forward to attending myself. Hope everyone here will go. I want to thank Alex Ibarra, Liz Wyant, Norwest Cap, Matt Knoll, Pat Kays, and hope I'm probably forgetting someone. Bill Benz, anybody who was involved with decorating Chappelle Park and involved with the 9/11 ceremony. They did an excellent job down there. It was a really nice ceremony. Again, like Councilman Clark said, it's a day we all reflect on, and looking around the room, most of the people in this room were alive when that happened, and the memories of that day are seared in our memories forever. The main thing that brings it all back to me, I remember the people who were trapped in the World Trade Center, and the horror they must have experienced that day, where the better alternative was to jump out of the building. So for all of us of that age, we certainly aren't going to forget that. How do you ever forget something like that? But I think that's why it's important that we continue to have these ceremonies every year, because there is a generation unborn, and we need to make them aware of what happened that day, and so that they'll never forget also. So that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Skirbo.
Yes, I just want to say I can sympathize with the story that Mr. Clark said. My 6-year-old son Thomas came home from school today. He did a project on 9/11. He asked me and his mom what 9/11 was, and I never thought it never dawned on me that I was going to have to actually explain that to him. We all know what it was. We all still feel it to this day. So having to explain that to him and the sentiments of the councilman here, I do agree. It's something that we can never forget, and we have to make sure that we pass this on to the next generation. That's very important. And I was at work today. I had to work a 12-hour shift, or I would have been at the ceremonies. But I want to thank everyone that put this on for our town. It's something that we do have to remember and never forget. It's very important to every generation. And the thing I remember most about a bad situation and a horrible situation of 9/11 was how the country rebounded and reunited after that happened. I'd like to see more of that spirit in general in life. We think about this every year, and it's a sad time, and we reflect. If we can carry that over into our real lives and pass it on to our families, I think that is what these guys had explained. I think that's the most important thing. I just have one announcement. We will be having, just give me one moment here. What else do I have all the information correct? We'll be having our first annual field day for the youth of Phillipsburg. Come out on September 28th from 1 to 5 p.m. That's going to be at Walters Park. And this is presented by the town of Phillipsburg in partnership with Branching Out Foundation and our Phillipsburg Recreation Committee. This is something that we kind of brainstormed at our last rec meetings, and we wanted to provide something for the kids at the end of summer. A lot of activities to get them out and be active, healthy activities, maybe working on some mindfulness and yoga for the youth. This is something that we haven't done enough of in the past couple of years, so we're trying to get back to what we used to do here in town years past, and try to reinvent ourselves. So if you could bring your children children now, or we have grandchildren, pass it on to parents, and we'd like to get as many kids out there as we can. So that is September 28th, 1 o'clock through 5 p.m. at Walters Park. And that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Vice President.
I think everybody basically has covered it, but not only do we not want to forget about what happened on 9/11, but never forget Benghazi. That also happened on 9/11. 4 people lost their lives that shouldn't have. Vote wisely. That's it.
Okay, the only thing I have is next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, we'll have a work session. Topic, rent control. Okay, that will be, work session will be, the council will be discussing it. You can let the public.
There'll be a time for public petitions.
Right.
But it's going to be a discussion of the council regarding rent control.
So we have that. One other thing, I agree with Mr. Bullock. You know, enforcement is what we need. And to get enforcement, we need more people. And if we get more people, then they're going to complain the taxes are going to go up because they're not cheap. I know we're working on a few things that are in the future for the benefit of the town. One of them being that the handicap sign parking on South Main Street, there's no signage. So once they put the signs up, then enforcement will follow. So I just want to tip off the public that goes down there. We're working on that. We're working on those vehicles that are abandoned on so-called railroad property off of Cherry Alley. It's just that everything takes so much time. You talk to these people, they get back to you, you get back to them, and then it's their property, no, it's your property. So there are things being done. It's just that it's so slow. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn, and everybody say, go on.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.